The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, says his government's efforts to evacuate Americans is still ongoing and has no deadline. Mr. Blinken's facing questions from members of Congress on the first day of a two-day hearing. The UN says the international community has promised $1 billion in aid for Afghanistan after appealing for help to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe. The UK has become the latest country to recommend COVID vaccinations to all children aged 12 and over. The chief medical officers said it could help prevent disruption to education. Ministers will now decide whether to go ahead with the jabs. And lawyers for Britain's Prince Andrew are expected to argue that a lawsuit brought against him for alleged sexual assault should not go ahead because he has not been served court papers.
In Shenzhen, China, worried investors demand their money back from Evergrande Group. The company is believed to be China's most indebted property developer. North Korea has tested a new long-distance cruise missile that might be able to carry a nuclear weapon. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announces a one-week extension of coronavirus restrictions after 33 cases of COVID-19 were reported. And Guinea's opposition leader, Cellou Dalein Diallo, welcomes the ouster of President Alpha Condé, but calls on the military to create a temporary government.
We begin with the election to choose the leader of Japan's ruling party, a race that will effectively choose the country's next prime minister. 3 politicians have already announced their candidacies to lead the Liberal Democratic Party. The 3 outlined their policies on issues including diplomacy and national security ahead of the official campaign that starts on Friday. Former Foreign Minister Kishida Fumio addressed China's growing hegemonistic activities.
We will pursue the stability of the Taiwan Strait, democracy in Hong Kong, and face the human rights issue in the Uyghur Autonomous Region. We will protect universal democratic values.
Kishida said that he'll set up a special advisor to the Prime Minister in charge of human rights issues. Regulatory Reform Minister Kono Taro had a series of meetings with LDP lawmakers to seek their support. Reporters asked his views on whether Japan should possess the capability to attack enemy bases. He said that's an old discussion.
We can exercise deterrence by showing our capability to shoot down missiles. And now is the time to discuss how to enhance deterrence under the framework of the Japan-US alliance.
Former Internal Affairs Minister Takaichi Sanae commented on North Korea's announcement that it successfully test-fired long-range cruise missiles.
The missiles pose a big threat to us. It's time for Japan to have precision-guided missiles. It will be a race to disable the enemy bases first.
Former Defense Minister Ishiba Shigeru is still considering whether to run. Former Internal Affairs Minister Noda Seiko is still trying to secure the backing of 20 party members, which is required to enter the race. NHK's latest opinion poll shows the approval rating of Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide's cabinet at 30%, edging up 1 percentage point from last month. NHK conducted the telephone survey over the weekend. About 2,000 people aged 18 or older were chosen randomly. 56% of them responded. 30% of the respondents said they support the Suga cabinet. That's up 1 point from August, when the rate was the lowest since the launch of the cabinet 1 year ago. The disapproval rating was 50%, down 2 points. Suga opted not to seek re-election as the LDP leader, effectively giving up the premiership. Asked about their assessment of what Suga's cabinet has done, 7% strongly approved of its work, 48% gave it some credit, 31% said they don't think much of it, and 10% gave it no credit. Asked what issues should be discussed during the LDP leadership election campaign, 44% put anti-coronavirus measures on top. 33% picked economic and fiscal policies, and 8% chose diplomatic and security policies. Japan has extended its coronavirus state of emergency in many parts of the country, including Tokyo and Osaka, through the end of this month. The extension came into force on Monday in 19 of the nation's 47 prefectures. 8 prefectures are under a quasi-state of emergency. The government is calling on people in the areas to stay home as much as possible. It comes as the number of new cases has been declining. Authorities across Japan confirmed 4,171 infections on Monday, over 4,000 fewer than a week ago. But the medical system remains under strain. Nearly 2,000 patients across Japan are in serious condition. At this hospital near Tokyo, 34 hospital beds are allocated for severe coronavirus cases. 25 to 30 of them have been continuously occupied this month. The government hopes vaccination will help improve the situation. More than half of the country's population have now received 2 shots. The virus has mutated to become more contagious. A Japanese company conducting PCR tests says it found that the amount of virus detected from a patient infected with the Delta variant is at least 4 times higher than the original strain. A member of the Japanese government's expert panel warns a patient's throat and saliva contain large amounts of the virus. Tateda Kazuhiro is calling on people to wear non-woven fabric face masks and to ventilate rooms. Qatar sent a delegation to Kabul at the weekend. Qatari Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani is thought to be the first foreign diplomat to visit Afghanistan since the Taliban regained power. Qatar has long-standing ties with the Taliban. The group has a political office in the capital, Doha. Sheikh Mohammed held talks on Sunday with the Taliban's acting Prime Minister, Mullah Hassan Akhund. The Taliban say the two sides discussed humanitarian aid and economic reconstruction. Qatar's foreign ministry says Sheikh Mohammed urged the interim authority to work with all Afghan parties for national reconciliation. The Taliban are believed to be aiming to win support from Qatar for their provisional government, but the international community is concerned that the administration consists exclusively of members of the Taliban. It's time now for a check on world weather with our meteorologist, Sayaka Mori.
Hello there. Changsu was very close to Luzon on Friday. This is Changsu, this is the eye, and it was a super typhoon last week. This is Luzon, but the northern islands were directly affected by the storm. Take a look at this footage. Typhoon Changsu lashed the Philippines' northernmost small islands on Saturday. No casualties have been reported, but more than 11,000 people have been affected. The center of Changsu is near the Shanghai area at this moment. It'll likely stay here for the next 3 days or so and then start to accelerate as we go into Friday. It could make landfall in South Korea or Western Japan, and then as a low-pressure system, it's likely to affect northern Japan. Meanwhile, because we have a rainy season front, we will see lots of rainfall in western Japan. We have tropical depression Konsum, which made landfall in Vietnam during the weekend. It will continue to drop heavy rainfall over the Indochina Peninsula. Meanwhile, Hurricane Larry made landfall in Newfoundland on Saturday, making the first hurricane to do so in 11 years. It's now a heavy snowmaker for Greenland. It's been bringing snowfall to parts of Greenland. We might see more than 1 meter of snowfall from the storm. Snow will likely affect Iceland as well. That's it for me. Stay safe.